Ooh, spooky. Happy Halloween. I got nothing. I wish I actually had a little bit more Halloween spirit. I don't have it, but I'm very happy to see all of you. Ooh, boo. Welcome into the Russ Joy Show. I'm Russ Joy. Figure that out because you're smart. It's also the name of the show. It is a long day at the end of a long week, and I'm very happy to be with each and every one of you. I apologize that I wasn't here Wednesday. I'm sure you figured out a way to go on with your life. And if you follow the other stuff that I do, you'll know that by Wednesday night, I did get to Chickies and Pete's. We did do an episode of Snow the Goalie Radio, and I was back on Thursday night for the Press Row Show. Tonight, spent some time with the family, trick-or-treating. We talk about candy. I didn't even put that in the show rundown, but we can. And then, of course, this weekend gets kind of crazy because the Flyers are in town for 2 more games. They play on Saturday. They play on Sunday. Welcome in. Now, with all due respect to the Halloween of it all, I think I'm going to take this down. I think I'm going to remove the spooky frame. You know, maybe I'll put I can put a little pumpkin here, a little trick or treat. Hold on, let's see. Can I do dancing skeleton? He kind of fits the aesthetic of the show. We did this one on the Press Row Show last night. It was kind of fun. I don't know. I don't think I have it in me tonight. Anyway, welcome in. I see the comments, so I'll bring it up here. I'm going to also bring the comments up in the on the screen here, and I need to figure out why I don't have access. Let's do this. How big do we want to make the words on the show now? Do we go there? Ooh, that's kind of nice. Do we go wide? Do we go tall? Oh, tall with the big words? Nah, we'll go medium. Let's go medium. No, let's go big. We'll help all the people who have the eyesight issues out there. We'll do this. All right, now, I saw somebody mention the comment. Chris Freed says, no costume, Russ. I'm going to tell you who I'm dressed as today. So I think it was 2 home games ago. So it wouldn't have been Tuesday night against the Penguins because it wasn't there. It was over the weekend, I guess. I'm getting ready to rush out of the arena because I'm between soccer games. My daughter had a game in the morning. My son had a game in the afternoon. And so I frolicked from my daughter's game down to Philly, did Press Row Show. And then I was like, all right, pregame is done. Now I'm going to go to my son's game. And as I'm getting ready to scurry on out of the Xfinity Mobile Arena, a guy stops me and he's like, are you Russ? This is at the point now where I've oddly gotten a little bit used to it. This is not like an ego thing. I've actually gotten used to, like, at Flyers games, people stopping me and being like, oh, you're on Snow the Goalie. Or you like, I watch your other show. Okay, cool. And I appreciate that. It's very nice of people. This guy is like, you're Russ? I'm like, I am Russ. Hello, yeah. And he introduces me to his daughter and he goes, this is Russ Joy. He's a famous podcaster. And I looked at his daughter. I said, I'm not famous. But it was very kind. So I decided that today I am dressing up as Russ Joy. He's a very famous podcaster. I don't have any. The Halloween spirit, back in the day, I used to dress up on Halloween. There was a year that I bought a Bernie Sanders bald cap. When I was teaching high school, I wore the Bernie cap. I thought about actually looking for that picture to see if I could find it anywhere. But I actually did. I dressed up as Bernie Sanders one year, and I walked around the school, and there was a lot of no. And I actually taught Spanish and German that day in a Bernie Sanders voice, which was a lot more complicated than it needed to be. But I used to do that. There was a year that I remember dressing up as Matt Foley, motivational speaker. Hello there, young lady. I remember shoving pillows into my shirt. So I think I actually broke a couple of buttons off that shirt with the pillows. But I needed to be, the size of Matt Foley. Well, you're going to be doing that in a van down by the river. So I did that for a day. So in the teaching days, I was very passionate about Halloween. I was all in on Halloween. Was it to piss off the people who were anti-Halloween? Maybe a little bit. There was a time, I do actually remember this. There was a Jehovah's Witness family who complained about Halloween. And I'm pretty sure the entire district said, no more Halloween. We are doing this for the Jehovah's Witness family. Oh, they didn't say that. They said, we're not doing Halloween. It's offensive to some people. And I said, so I remember that being a thing. And I was like, wait, little kids can't like dress up for Halloween? Like, that's what we're doing now? You can't wear a Halloween costume on Halloween, have a little party because somebody's offended by Halloween? Just keep your kid home that day. What's so hard about that? Anyway, I remember that being a thing. And I think it was like a kid in the elementary school or something. It was like the family was opposed to Halloween. It's this awful thing. Blah, blah, blah. So then we weren't supposed to do it. So what did I do? I dressed up for Halloween. What's this? Yeah, what are you gonna send me home? They didn't send me home. They did not send me home. And there were other, you know what? There were kids that day that dressed up. There were some teachers that dressed up. Oh, yeah. We stood in solidarity for the good things in this world, like Halloween. Now, I'm going to hit you with a hot take. To start the show, we're going to have to, Amadeo's got to be at the ready. Okay? Halloween hot take. If you're older than 13, you don't get jack diddly squat from me. You have a trick, you have a treat, you want a trick, you want a treat. Here's the trick. If you're over 13 and you're looking for candy, you better be escorting a younger sibling around the neighborhood. I'll give you candy because you did your parents a solid. But if you're like 16, 17, 18, and you show up with like a headset on, you're like, I'm Andy Reid. No. I mean, if you're like 18, you're going to show up at my house with a headset on and say, I'm Andy Reid. You better have a bushy mustache. You better be morbidly obese. And you probably should also have established yourself as maybe not the best dad in the world. Then I will give you candy. Until then, you get nothing from me. Not a thing. Now, if you're like, oh,
my child is 15. Why shouldn't they get to be excited and enjoy Halloween?
it's not my kid. I don't care. You know, you want to say 15? Fine. How about 16? 16, I think, is when you can get a job, right? Right. So, okay, maybe I'll move the threshold a little bit. 16, but 16, you're in high school. Like you can essentially get a job. Go buy yourself a candy bar. What are we doing? What? Now, I am actually going to put this out on a poll over on the Russ Joy Show YouTube channel because I didn't almost lose my marriage over this, but I thought that it might have been I ultimately chose not to die on the hill. But I'm going to throw a hypothetical out to the people who are watching now. Those of you who watch after the fact, you can go into the regular comments. Those of you who listen in the podcast feed, you can comment on Spotify, interestingly enough. You can shoot me a DM over on Twitter at Joy on Broad, all that kind of fun stuff. I want to know if I made the right call or not. So ever since we moved to this house, we have been a full-size candy bar family. I have taken a special pride in going to Costco, spending way more money than I need to, because it's not just the people in our neighborhood. It's like people from like neighboring neighborhoods and like, I guess, in town and everything. And a lot of kids come by our house on Halloween. And so I made it a point. We're going to be a full-sized candy bar family. And for 4 years, we have been a full-size candy bar family. But this year, I was not here for the purchasing of the Halloween candy. I believe the Halloween candy was purchased when I was in Las Vegas for work. And I came home and I saw a bag full of candy, and it was not full-size candy bars. Instead, it was giant Costco bags of like the little candies, the little guys. Like you'd reach your hand in and like grab a handful, or maybe you grab 2 or 3. And so I brought this up with the authorities, not the police, although I might have to call them. I brought this up with my wife, who was responsible for purchasing the candy. And I said, respectfully, what the hell is this? And she was like, well, the candy was even more expensive this year. Everything has gotten more expensive. The full-size candy bars, it was ridiculous. It would have been like $200 to get enough candy bars for all the kids who come by the house. We're not doing $200 for worth of candy. Sorry. And then my kids didn't realize. They didn't put it together. My oldest was at soccer practice, and the other ones were with her. And nobody kind of put it together. Oh, we're not getting the full-size candy bars for the neighborhood. Now, why is Russ actually upset? Am I upset because we may have a reputation as a full-size candy bar house, and now we're going to be letting everybody down? That is part of it, yes. Am I also disappointed because every year we buy exactly 1 box too many of full-size candy bars, and then I spend the next 3 to 6 weeks very casually and under the radar grabbing a candy bar or 2 out of the box for late night consumption? I might. Am I disappointed that I'm not going to have that option this year? I am. So my question on the poll is, should my family, so this will be should Russ's family, have still gotten full-size candy bars? That's it. Now, I know where I land, but I just dropped the poll. You can vote. Should we have kept getting the full-size candy bars? I think so. I actually think it's an abomination that we didn't. I would almost rather not give out candy at all. Honestly, there's part of me that wants to just have the lights off. Sorry, kids. This was not a joyful Halloween. Try again next year. But we're gonna have the candy. Candy's gonna be given out. I think I'm gonna go trick or treat with kids. I don't want to be here for the handing out of like fun size candy stuff when we typically have full size candy bars here. I am mortified. I am. I don't usually put my wife on blast. She is a saint, but she made this decision. And sometimes saints don't always make great decisions. They usually do. But I would assume that a saint at some point made a not great decision. I can't think of one offhand, but there may have been one. Now, I will say that there are some interesting things coming up in the comments that make me think that maybe it's not that bad. I'll go out to Zach O first. Says, I fear you've set a precedent and kids will be sad. It's possible. Amadeo says, have to do full-size candy bars. Let's see. And Zach is right. I'm probably just more upset about it for myself. Let's see. All or nothing is a fair take. I appreciate that. Frankie, Crypto Sniper 777 Fast Hands. That's one hell of a name. Frankie, thanks for being here. Like the video, share the video, subscribe. Says, damn, brother, complaining because your wife saved you money? Lucky. Oh, don't worry. There are Amazon packages. I'm pretty sure there might be 2 or 3 Amazon packages out on the doorstep right now. We're not going to talk about the hypocrisy of Amazon packages, but then not getting full-size candy bars. I would never do such a thing. Let's see. Amadeo says his neighborhood already did the trick-or-treating this past year. What kind of bullshit is that? What kind of communist nonsense is this? What? You did the trick-or-treating last Saturday. Who made that determination? Where did that come? That's a week early. We needed trick-or-treating last week. Is this like some kind of nonsensical, we're going to do trick-or-treating every weekend because that is fair and equitable. Everyone will get 2 pieces of candy. What in the Zoran Mamdani is going on around here? Does he celebrate Halloween? Does he like Halloween? How would trick-or-treating work in a Mamdani, New York City? I know what Andrew Cuomo would say. If you get anywhere near New York, the number of ads that Andrew Cuomo is running against Mamdani right now is absolutely absurd. You'd swear they're running for president. It is mind-boggling. And it looks like at last check, it's going to be an absolute runaway. Make of that what you will. But anyway, let's see. Zacho says, here we go. Frankie asks, when does Russ take over as the Flyers GM? Somebody confused me for Danny Briere last year, which was really weird. Like, we don't look alike. Not all, roughly 5'6" Caucasian males with longer hair are the same. I'm darker than Danny. That is true. That is a fact. His French is better. Our hockey skills? Yeah, he's better at hockey. Yeah, that's true. So anyway. Amadeo said he's blaming the old Italian people for it. But why the old Italian people wanted a week in advance? It makes no sense. By the way, Zach goes right. I will support this. Trunk or treat, organized trick or treating is lame. Halloween night is the only way. Trunk or treat needs to go away. Get out of here. Like a swift kick to the gonads. I will tell you where trunk or treating is fine. If you don't live in an area that is safe for kids to walk around, there are no sidewalks. I don't know. There's rampant crime in your area. And that really is the only way for you to trick or treat. By all means, you should do a trunk or treat. You should. 100%. I'll support you. But if you're in a well-to-do area, and I would say that the Philly burbs, for the most part, are pretty well-to-do areas, what the hell are we doing a trunk or treat for? Why? For what reason? Now you have even more candy coming back to your house. If you're a good parent, you're, of course, going to siphon off some of the better stuff. That's called the mom and dad tax. But like now you have all this extra candy, and sometimes there's like dumb little gizmos, crappy little plastic toys, those dumb little sticky, like rubbery little stretchy guys that they throw and they stick on the ceiling and they piss you off. You know, like those kind of things. They're everywhere. I don't need those. I don't want them. Why? Not on Halloween. I want candy. Candy. All right. Chris Freed with a little push for his parish. St. Matt's in the Northeast is giving out whole candy bars tonight. So there you go. If you're looking for some whole-size candy bars, you won't get them at the Joy family household, but you can get them at Chris Freed's parish. So there you go. Oh, look at this. Frankie, what a sweet person today. No offense to anyone else. Russ is the GOAT of Flyers media, hands down. Okay, now if that was the intentional Flyer A, I still don't understand what Flyer A is. I don't get it. I know that people like put it out there. I need an explanation. I don't know what it is. I would like to know what it is. I know that like some of the people who like tweet with that in their handle or whatever don't typically like me. So I just don't like, I can't imagine that A stands for asshole, which is what they think of me. I need an explanation. AJ's here. Says, hey man, price of chocolate is up more than 10% this year. I'm with the wife on this one. I can stomach the 10%. I'm thinking about it. Do I have enough time between the end of this show, the kids coming home, and me getting up to Costco? Like Costco took $8 off the full-size candy bar boxes this past weekend. And I was like, can I sneak these into the cart? And so like we started getting the assorted meats. We got the pork shoulder and a pork loin. We started getting this and that. And I was like, you know what? I could double back. I can get those full-size candy bar boxes and I can shove them under a pork shoulder. And my wife would never know. I'd send her over to go get the hot dogs for the kids. I had a whole strategy. I could have done it, but I'm a good guy. I'm a good husband. And I chose to be honest. Okay. Now, enough about the candy. Let me know, though, in the comments what your favorite candy is. I think that's important. And by the way, as of right now, the poll sits at 54% that my family should have gone with the full-size candy bars. 54%. It was just at, I think, 54 the other way. So now we're at 54-46. I'm going to leave that poll up for another minute. You guys have to let me know what your favorite candy is. There is one candy that I hold as the number one. All right, so I'm going to give you my candy power rankings. Let's see if, can we get Amadeo to do a video short of this where he like puts the candy on the screen? We'll find out. All right, here are my top. Let me think this one out. I get that one. I get that one. I get that one. That one. I can make up a fifth one. What would the fifth? Okay. Here are my top 5 Halloween candies. It is undisputed. It cannot be argued. If you try to argue it, you're out of your mind. We're going to start at number 5. Number 5 is a very, very underappreciated candy. It is not part of the Chocolate Factory, which I will tell you, the Chocolate Factory's got the top 4. But we're going to go off the beaten path. We're going to go with a brand that many of you are familiar with, but a variation on a classic that still stands the test of time. Of course, we're going to start with the purple bag Skittles, the wild berry Skittles. Why do we go there? They're just better. Standard Skittles are fine. Standard Skittles are going to fill up your kids' candy bags this Halloween. That's not what it's all about. It's about the variation. We're going to go with the wild berry, the purple bag Skittles. They're at number 5. Number 4 on this list is Twix. Who doesn't love Twix? The terrorists, the caramel. What a great feeling. The crunch, the chocolate. What's not to love? At number 3, we have the Kit Kat. Now, you could try, if you want, to hit me over the head with this idea of a white chocolate Kit Kat. Or I saw there was one that has like cinnamon in it. I think it was saying like it's a snickerdoodle one. You could go with your mint Kit Kats. Nay. I just want a regular Kit Kat. If somebody in your neighborhood has a dark chocolate Kit Kat, they get 10 bonus points. And you allow their dog to poop on your lawn one time all year. Because a dark Kit Kat's damn good, but very hard to find. So we'll just go with a regular Kit Kat. At number 2, peanut butter cups. I don't care if they're the flat boys. I don't care if they're the ones that are in the individually wrapped metal thing, contraption, right, that you end up finding all over the house because you or your spouse absentmindedly grab a handful of the little aluminum foil wrapped peanut butter cups and you just kind of toss the wrappers all over. You think you grabbed all of them off the couch and a couple get stuck in the cushion. And then when you go to vacuum out the couch, whenever the hell the next time you choose to do that is, and you start sucking them up and you go, wow, that's a lot of peanut butter cups. I wonder why I gained so much weight. That's why. Number 1 is a candy that not enough people hand out. And it is a candy that simply cannot be beaten. The Take 5. The Take 5 is a majestic candy. It is, I would say it is probably the best candy this side of the Mississippi. The Take 5 includes pretzels, You get a little bit of peanut butter. You get some caramel. There's even a little bit of peanuts in there. And it's enveloped in chocolate. It is the best candy, bar none. You get the crunch. You get a little bit of salty. You get that caramel. You get a little peanut butter. You get the chocolate. The Take 5 is by far the best candy this Halloween. If you are a smart parent, you have one job on Halloween, and that is to remind your kids that you are allowing them to go into the neighborhood to get as much candy as they want. But every so often, they are responsible for keeping an eye out for your number one favorite candy. What happens when they bring back that candy? They get a reward. For example, my kids will probably go to at least 60 houses tonight searching for candy. They will earn a bonus for every Take 5 they bring home. If they decide to bring home a peppermint patty for their mom, they'll get a bonus from her. Now, I don't expect them to go look for a peppermint patty or a Take 5 at every house, but when it's available, they have to jump all over that like a pit bull on a pork chop. That's their job. That's their number one task. All right. I'm going to go out to the comments here real quick. I got to see where people are. Yeah, this is border. Listen, now, Frankie, you've said very nice things today. I want to appreciate you, Frankie. Candy corn is an abomination. Candy corn. I'll tell you what, you know what? There is a place that candy corn is the best. It's best found at the bottom of the trash can. I don't like candy corn at all. I remember having candy corn as a little kid. Just being like, what the hell is it? Like, why? What is this? What's the reason? But why? Jim Cochran is here. Says, Take 5. It's not even close. Mounds and black licorice are goated, according to Zach O. Those are two very interesting ideas. Ford with Butterfingers. Amadeo in with the Kit Kat. Zach O poo-pooing. Number 5, the Wild Berry. Skittles. Shame on you. Shame. Nobody said white chocolate. I was just bringing up that white chocolate Kit Kats exist. I would not eat a white chocolate Kit Kat. But here we are. Yes. Take 5. Absolutely the number one. Frank Gerhardt, Geek Spot News. Thanks for being here, Frank. Like the video, share the video, subscribe. This is Take 5 is by far number one. You are correct. Amadeo says Starburst, best fruit candy. Yeah, the problem with Starburst is that after a while, my teeth start to like hurt. And then it's like, it's chewy, and then, shit. You know what? Frankie's right. The $100,000. I'm bumping out the Wild Berry Skittles. I am. $100,000 is number 5. $100,000 replaces the Wild Berry Skittles. I'm actually embarrassed that I forgot about the $100,000. Yeah. So, okay, to recap, we go $100,000. I don't even remember about this. $100,000, Twix, Kit Kat, peanut butter cups, and number 1, Take 5. Yeah, that sounds good. AJ's right. Take 5 is the most scientifically perfect candy. There's no doubt about it. Let's see. Sacco says, I love the first 5 pieces of candy corn I eat every year. Then I'm good. Yeah, man. Lasagna gods. Hello, lasagna gods.
How you doing? Come stai? Come stai oggi? Bene? Molto bene.
Says full-size candy bars is wild. Well, you do what you can. I would like very much to go back to the full-size candy bars here. Jim, you want a Halloween hot take? I don't like Snickers. I don't. It's not because I'm hungry. It's not like I need to eat one because I'm not me when I'm hungry. No, I've never been a fan of Snickers. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't like them. You know what candy I liked when I was little that I don't like as much anymore is like Three Musketeers. Like, I'll eat it. Like a Milky Way, I'll eat it. But there's no textural element to it. Gary Vigelli says, that goes an abomination from hell after that comment. I think it was about the candy corn. We got people going nuts over here. Zacho says salted black licorice is too far for me, though I have standards. What the hell is salted black licorice? That sounds horrible. Jim says, I'd rather get an apple trick-or-treating than candy corn. Apples are good. Yeah, they're good. Lasagna gods. Milky Way is underappreciated. I'm not so sure. All right. The description of the episode and the thumbnail of the episode had the Sixers and had the Flyers. And we've spent the first 25 minutes of the show talking about candy. Yeah, it sounds like a Friday on the Russ Joy Show. It really does. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the show. Okay. Let's pick up. Can we take this to a place of happiness and a place of excitement and enjoyment? I'm going to start with the Flyers, and then we're going to end with the Sixers. Does that sound okay? It does. We'll go Flyers because they played last night. Sixers haven't played since Tuesday, which feels crazy. But I want to get to a couple of the thoughts. So the Sixers, will kind of dive into the numbers a little bit. We'll dive into the backcourt, which has been sensational to this point. We'll talk a little bit about where some of the national media people are talking about the Sixers. But I do want to start with the Flyers because a lot has happened in Flyers land in the last 48 hours. So where to begin? Earlier this week, the Flyers chose to send Jet Lachenko back to his junior team, Guelph. There was a rumor, there was a thought, there was certainly scuttlebutt that the Flyers were going to have Jet Lachenko get scratched, healthy scratched 5 games in a row, then go to Lehigh Valley, do a conditioning stint with the Phantoms playing in the AHL, even though he can't actually be placed there because he's too young and because even with the new rule, the OHL won't allow him to go play in the AHL because it's, I don't know, it's just dumb. So he goes back to Guelph. Fast forward to Thursday morning. There's a report going around that Jet Lachenko has been traded from Guelph to a better team within the same league. And you go, oh, that makes sense. Now it makes sense why the Flyers sent him down. 2 hours after that report comes out, it's announced that Jet Lachenko is being named co-captain of the Guelph Storm. And you go, wait a second. Is he traded or is he a co-captain? Which is it? Traded, co-captain, traded, co-captain. Are they going to make him a co-captain because then they're going to get more back somehow? That doesn't even make sense. I don't know. So what ends up happening? Jet Lachenko plays last night for Guelph. The last time I looked, he had an assist. I think it was in the second period. I can actually take a goosey gander here really quickly. But Lachenko goes back to junior. He directly, I guess, to some extent, impacts the game. And you say to yourself, all right, there are worse things in the world than Lachenko going back to junior. It's probably where he belonged. Yes, it's disappointing that you don't get to actually see Lachenko, play in the AHL, which is where he belongs. Yes, it's disappointing that you don't get to see him actually force the Flyers' hand, play so well that they have no choice but to keep him here. But Lachenko on the night, he finished with 1 assist. Looking at the box score here really quickly, if there's anything of note from young Jet Lachenko in his first game back with his junior team, I don't see anything else that jumps off the page. It was a -1. So he had an assist on the night. That's it. 2 penalty minutes. Cool. Here's the issue, right? Lachenko gets sent down. We also find out that after Sam Ersson led the Flyers to their second straight shootout win, he played in back-to-back games. It wasn't back-to-back days, but back-to-back games, right? He played against the Islanders and he played against the Penguins. Well, it turns out that Tuesday night after he played the Penguins, he seemingly was fine. Wednesday at practice, at some point in the practice time frame, he tweaked his groin. Now, the Flyers aren't saying it's a groin, but everybody who knows things is saying it's his groin, which is obviously problematic because last year Sam Ersson ended up on IR a few times with a groin pull or a groin issue. And if you know anything about hockey players, you know that groins are just a bad thing to have lingering, and they're a bad thing to be a reoccurring injury because when you have one groin injury and that leads to another groin injury and to another, that doesn't necessarily end a guy's playing career, but it does really put a damper on his ability to be in the lineup routinely and consistently. And as a netminder who came into the season expecting to be the number 1 and was supplanted by the free agent signing who's brought in to be the backup, you'd say to yourself, all right, Sam Ersson, you get back-to-back games. This is your opportunity to show that you're not as bad as you kind of looked early in the season. Reclaim that job from Dan Vladar. Go ahead. They get back-to-back shootout wins. And I will give a lot of credit to Sam Ersson. He did look really good, and he made some critical saves in overtime and in the shootout against the Islanders. And then I said to myself, all right, Self, could Ersson reclaim the number 1 job? And I thought to myself on Tuesday night, I was like, no, because he can't get that job back until he can prove that he's healthy. The next day, groin tweak, whatever it is, And now Alexei Kolosov is up. And so Alexei Kolosov, who's had a really, really strong start to the year with the Phantoms, has put up significantly better numbers than he did a season ago. Now he's thrust into being the backup at the NHL level. Now, is it enough of a sample size with the Phantoms for Kolosov to come up here with a ton of confidence, to build on that confidence, and to help get a win or two for the Flyers while he's up here? Obviously, best case scenario is Ersson, it really was just a small tweak. They're being precautionary. Kolosov gets one of the games this weekend, and then he's back down to the Phantoms. He spends the whole year down there with Bjarnason, and they both develop together. And then maybe next year you're having a conversation about Vladar still being here. Maybe Ersson moves on. He'll be a restricted free agent. Maybe a team wants his exclusive negotiating rights for some reason. And you maybe get an asset back for Sam Ersson, and Kolosov comes up next year. Like that is your best case scenario if you're a Flyers fan, at least in net, right? If Ersson is hurt, and this is going to portend bad things to come, where he will not be consistently available, well, it makes the decision for you right away that you will not be bringing him back next season and that his restricted free agent rights aren't really worth much. And then you hope that Kolosov looks better than he did last year. Keep in mind, Kolosov was getting yanked back and forth. It was his first year playing in North America. They were trying to rotate 3 goalies at the NHL level. No one could build consistency. It was a disaster. I don't know if he's played enough with the Phantoms to build that confidence. Obviously, the hope is that if he gets a start this weekend, which he will, that he looks good in that game. Obviously, Vladar was going to be the guy to take on the Flames on Sunday because it's his former team. However, Kolosov's had a good start, but do you really want him to go take on the Maple Leafs on Saturday? My hunch is no. You wouldn't want to have him go up against the Maple Leafs because they're a very talented team with some legitimate scores, and there's a non-zero chance that they could run it up on him. Not a chance of Kolosov struggling against the Leafs than he would against the Flames. The Flames are a bad team. They're bad. And I know it will come as a huge surprise, but Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee have not exactly lit up the world this entire season with Calgary. If it were me, I think I'd still like to give Vladar the start against his former team because that means something. Wouldn't it be funny if Kolosov gets the start on Saturday and he puts up a really respectable performance against the Leafs? Flyers win that game. Maybe it's like a 4-3 game, but Kolosov looks comfortable and looks really good in that game. Well, that would actually be a massive confidence boost. Come up in your first start, get a win against a really good team. Maybe you let a few goals in, but as long as there's strong goals, as long as there's none of those, what the hell was he thinking? You can't let that one go in. Then maybe it is a confidence boost. But Vladar, I think I'd like to see Vladar play against his former team, but I think it might actually get shaken up a little bit. Now, Segoli situation. There's a guy that we need to talk about. And listen, at some point between Saturday and Sunday on the Press Row Show, which you should go subscribe to over on the Snow the Goalie feed, between then and Monday's show, the name Jamie Drysdale will come up. The name Cam York will come up. Make no mistake about it. I have been a very big critic of Cam York. He has looked very good since he came back into the lineup. Really good. I'd make the case that to some extent, Cam York, in the very limited sample size that he's had under Rick Tocchet, has looked better than he did pretty much at any point under John Tortorella. That's a good thing for this team. Jamie Drysdale is having one of the most underrated seasons of a defenseman in the Eastern Conference right now. The eye test tells you that there are a lot of really good things happening, that he has somehow become a much better defensive-oriented player, that he has, on his own, been able to shut down plays that a year ago he was not. And he's healthy. And we cannot overstate the importance of his health. He's had these shoulder injuries. He's healthy, and he looks very good. Now, is it going to, kill off the talk of him versus Gauthier? No, this is going to be a long, ongoing thing. But he's had a really, really strong start to the year. Those guys deserve some conversation. I could take us to a place where we're talking about Matvei Mishkov. And we talk about how Matvei Mishkov over the last few games has certainly looked more like the player who appeared poised for a big breakout, coming off of last year's play. But I'm not going to go there. The guy I'm going to actually go to is Trevor Zegras, because Zegras is maybe going to be called upon to shoulder the load in a way that I don't even think he was expecting. when he was brought here this past offseason, because Sean Couturier got hurt on Thursday night. He got hit by a slap shot, and the puck either hit him in the rib or it hit him in the elbow. Either way, the Flyers didn't disclose the injury. They've not provided an update today. The assumption is that we'll get some kind of an update ahead of Saturday's game. But Couturier got hit with the puck in the first period last night and did not return to the game. He's a tough dude. Him not coming back into the game is very worrisome. If he misses an extended period of time, there's going to be a massive lineup shakeup, which would be bad for this team. A team that once, I hate to beat a dead horse around here, but a team that's actually played really well this season, a team that's actually doing a good job, a team that's 6-3-1 on the season. Couturier is not playing as a shell of himself. He's playing as close to the level of the guy he was pre 2 back surgeries as he ever could, you could ever hope for him to be. Couturier's looked really, really good. Hopefully there's an x-ray, or there was an x-ray, and it's negative and he just has some swelling and it's just uncomfortable and he'll get through it fast. Zegras, meanwhile, has put together a stretch of home games for the ages. I believe I saw the stat. It was 7 games in a row at home with a point. That's only ever been done by, was it Peter Forsberg and Zezel? I think were the only 2 other players who have ever had at least 1 point in their first 7 games debuting for their new team, or at least debuting for the Flyers. It's crazy. Wild stuff. Good for Trevor Zegras. He had the quote about, not wanting to embarrass himself. If you play in a city like Philadelphia with fans like this, with expectations like this, you don't want to embarrass yourself. He's looked great. So you have Trevor Zegras now riding an ultimate high. That's the guy to have an eye on. And one of the cool things that we're finally seeing is we're seeing minutes between Michkov and Zegras together. All we complained about, all we asked for a season ago is get Michkov a high-quality center who can feed him the puck. Now, Zegras is sort of playing a hybrid role where Dvorak takes the faceoffs and they're still kind of swapping, and Dvorak kind of goes back out to wing and Zegras assumes the role of a center. But those two getting the opportunity to play together is something I'm not exactly confident we would have seen under the previous coach. So it's cool that they're getting to work this out. It's cool that you're getting to see those two build chemistry. And I think it's eventually going to lead to a much, much, much improved power play. But we shall see. All right, let me see real quick. I'm going to go out to comments here. I know people are starting to come up with what the heck the contract is going to look for or is going to look like for Zegras, and I really don't know yet. I think that the number that people are going to start throwing around is probably higher than it will actually end up being. Let's see. Amadeo says that Austin Matthews has been terrible for Toronto. Austin Matthews doesn't get enough hate for their shortcomings in the playoffs the last few years, but Zacho says, I guess they learned Marner wasn't the problem, huh? Yeah, I don't see any Leafs fans going out of their way to give Mitch Marner the benefit of the doubt. They hate that guy. Mitch Marner, by the way, has 12 points on the season for the Golden Knights. Not bad. Not bad at all. At all. Zach also says, so happy for Drysdale. I agree. Frankie says, Cam York, Drysdale look much better. They do. Jim G asks, any word on Risto? Sounds like no. I don't have a real update on Risto. I don't. I'd expect him at some point, hopefully in November is the thought. We'll see. They better hope so. Let's see. Zacho says, I just look at the trade now as Cutter and Paling for Zegras and Drysdale, and that makes me happy regardless. You could do that if you want. Not the worst thing in the world. The contract idea here, 8.275 by 8 years. I don't want to get crazy here yet, but let's see if he's able to do it consistently over the course of an entire season. And whether or not they can trust him as a center or if he's going to be a wing, that ultimately is going to affect that AAV. AJ points out that Zegras says, nice mustache, you fuck. Chirp was so beautifully Philly. It was great. Let's see. Frankie says, Flyers look surprisingly hot. Zegras and Vladar changed the chemistry of that locker room. They have. Here's the thing. I want to go to Vladar's numbers here real quick because they are mind-blowing. And again, I get it. Still early sample size, all that wonderful stuff, right? Vladar right now is 4-2-0 on the season. He's got a 1.67 goals against average. That's second in the NHL. He has a 939 save percentage, which is tied for the best save percentage in the NHL. No, I do not expect Dan Vladar to continue to put up these numbers all year. But yes, it is really, really cool to see how he's doing. Before we get to the Sixers, I have a note. Just one real quick note. I am so unbelievably tired of getting emails from YouTube TV apologizing to me in advance that they have not yet been able to come to a resolution with a network or a network of networks. Sorry, we can't work it out with Fox. Sorry, we can't work it out. Did CBS come up at one point? And now it's, sorry, you might lose access to ABC and to ESPN and to all of the ESPN networks and to all of your recordings. Guess what, YouTube TV? Get your shit together. All right? I don't feel bad for Google. Google runs the world. I don't feel bad for Google. You guys can afford it. I'm pretty sure that I shouldn't have to continue to watch my YouTube TV bill go up and up and up and up to a point where I have to start contemplating going back to cable. And I'm getting very close. YouTube TV has a very nice user interface. And I love multi-view. And I love the unlimited DVR. There are a lot of things about YouTube TV that I love. However, getting a constant email, if we can't come to an agreement, we'll give you a $10 credit, a $20 credit. No, just get your contracts done. Get everything extended. Now, I would be interested to know, how much did the number change on the ESPN side? Because I could actually see a scenario where ESPN decided to ask for the world because they're really trying to get their D2C product a much bigger user base. Like, remember, this is a big thing when they launched the new ESPN app. And then if you're a wrestling fan, if you want to watch the premium live events, you have to have a certain level of the ESPN product. I wouldn't be surprised if they're almost intentionally trying to price themselves off of a lot of the cord cutter packages, including YouTube TV, because they want you to go sign up for their direct product. But I hate it. Absolutely hate it. Like, I totally despise it. Amadeo over here says, why do you think I switched to Fubo? I like that these guys very clearly just pirate. Arg. Now it's fine. I'll pay for it. I'll be angry about it. I'll be bitter about it. All right, last thing. The Philadelphia 76ers might be the most fun team to watch in the city of Philadelphia right now, and I am very well aware that the Flyers have started off their season very, very well, exceeding expectations. But I'm going to give the Sixers an ever so slight bit more credit. 4-0 to start the year, led in large part by Tyrese Maxey, who looks like every time he takes the court, he's getting even closer to being a superstar in this league. I don't mean like one of the best 15 guards or one of the best 10 guards in the Eastern Conference. I'm saying he looks more and more like a guy who could end up being one of the 3 best guards in the Eastern Conference, could be a guy who very well could end up on one of the All-NBA teams by the time the season's over, a guy who continues to refine his craft, and a guy who is really the only reason that I don't fully detest James Harden, because let us not forget that there was a time that James Harden was in Philadelphia and he worked with Tyrese Maxey on that step back 3 and that ability to kind of pull up off the dribble from behind the arc. And Maxey was a sponge and he learned. Maxey still, to me, is the best finisher at the rim since Allen Iverson, a guy who can go 110 miles per hour and slow it down just enough at the last second to have a silky smooth touch around the rim. And now he's got this 3-point game that just continues to wow me. And he's got a smile that lights up a room. And he's got a positivity that's infectious to his teammates. And he, to me, is really, in a lot of ways, the kind of guy that you'd want to build around as the face of your franchise. VJ Edgecombe, on the other hand, looks like a stone-cold killer. Now, it looks like he does have fun. I don't want to make it sound like he's, sociopathic. He's not. VJ Edgecombe looks like an absolute killer. If you ever had a question of whether or not, like, Tyrese Maxey seems like a very affable guy, seems like a lovely guy, like a nice guy. Does he have that killer mentality to rip a team's heart out in the last 10 seconds of a game, have the game in his hands, be able to pull up for the win? I think Maxey's getting close to that point. I definitely would trust him with a final shot in a game. VJ Edgecombe right now appears to be a guy who is 100% going to be the closer for this team in the not too distant future. This guy has ice like absolutely racing through his veins, coursing through his veins. VJ Edgecombe has looked so much better, so much quicker than I think anybody expected. And the wildest part is that VJ Edgecombe didn't come to the Sixers in the draft with a well-established three-point game. And yet VJ Edgecombe continues to impress with his ability to shoot from anywhere on the court. You put those two guys together, and I'd argue you have one of the best young backcourts in the entire league. You add to that Quentin Grimes, and you say, oh, this is actually kind of unfair. You can run 3-guard sets, and they can all eat. And you're soon going to get back Jared McCain, who at one point last year had a legitimate case to maybe be the rookie of the year before he got hurt and was poised to have one hell of a season, or probably a hell of a start to the season, until he had the thumb injury. Well, he's going to be coming back. So you're going to be able to rotate 4 guards. You're going to be able to take the ball out of Tyrese Maxey's hands where he doesn't necessarily have to be the one and only guy who can run the offense. That's huge. And oh, by the way, they happen to have an MVP who is certainly not the same guy he was that year, but like you have an MVP big man who is no longer necessarily going to be relied on to be the sole point producer on the team or be the number 1 point producer on the team. And you have another guy who actually should be able to pretty seamlessly fit in with these guards in Paul George. And I know that it's really easy to look back at last year and say, Joel Embiid couldn't stay healthy. Look how bad they were. Paul George couldn't stay healthy. Look how bad they were. All that's fair. The guard depth they have right now and the confidence with which these guards are playing, to me, says you might not need MVP Joel Embiid. You might not need 85% Joel Embiid. 75% Joel Embiid might be able to get the job done. You might not need Paul George to play 70 games. You might be fine with Paul George playing 45 or 50. You can live with load management of Joel Embiid and potential load management of Paul George. And you know why? Because the guards are so damn good. Now I get it. I do. It's not as if the Sixers are just like blowing everybody's doors off. They've had some comeback wins. Yeah. Do I love the fact that they had to go to overtime with the Wizards on the road? No, the Wizards are dog doo-doo. They still came back and won. They absolutely took the heart out of Orlando when Orlando came to town. Orlando's a team that a lot of people thought was going to be one of the best in the Eastern Conference. They kind of embarrassed the Magic. They pulled off a win at home against the Hornets. And who could forget, they went into a place that has been a house of horrors for them on opening night, and they took down the Celtics. Now, it gets really interesting because tonight, Friday, Halloween, ooh, spooky. Tonight, the Celtics come back to town. It's an NBA Cup game. I don't care about the NBA Cup of it all. I don't like the courts. It really does bother me. It bothers me far more than it should, and I will acknowledge that publicly. But you have the Celtics coming into town looking for revenge. The real question I will have is, what do the Sixers look like when they play a team for the second time this year? Yeah, the first game of the season, VJ Edgecombe was a stud. Tyrese Maxey was an even bigger stud. And they probably caught Boston off guard. All right, second time that you're playing the team this season. What is it going to look like? Then on Sunday, you go to Brooklyn. That should be a win. You go on the road against Chicago. Could be a good game. You go on the road against Cleveland. That's really your first, I would say, major test is Cleveland. So you're looking down the barrel of a few games here that could be a little bit complicated. And that's okay. I mean, the Bulls right now have the best record in the Eastern Conference along with the Sixers. They're both undefeated teams as of recording on Halloween. Spooky. So there are some really big games to come for this Sixers team, but I'm excited. I've been saying I'm willing to get hurt again. I think a lot of people are starting to get back on that bandwagon. And this leads me to my final point of the day. A lot of people have been jaded the last few years by the Sixers and the Flyers. They've been upset. They felt like they were sold a bill of goods, or they were told that, you know what, this team really isn't going to be that good, so it's not really worth coming out. I mean, the teams didn't say that, but media pundits did. At this point, the Sixers and the Flyers should both be playing in front of virtually packed houses every night until they give you a reason not to. This Sixers team, I think, has a really compelling case in that Edgecombe and Maxey are so damn good together so quickly. And I think that's going to resonate pretty well with the fan base. The Flyers, I can't totally figure it out. I often point to ticket prices. I know that there are people within the Flyers organization who don't like when I bring up ticket prices. Tickets are expensive. I can't change that. Parking's expensive. I can't change that. A team might think that their product is priced appropriately. That's fine. They can say that. I'm standing at the game last night doing the press row show. I'm watching the Flyers take down a Nashville Predators team that really, doesn't have a lot of star power to it that's going to bring a lot of casual fans in. I get that. But I'm watching this game unfold, and I'm looking around. And now, last night at the sports complex was a total disaster because Mike Vick's team and Deshaun Jackson's team were going head-to-head. They're coaching over at the link, and I was going to draw a lot of people, whatever. It was a total disaster. The parking lot was horrible. I mean, this was like a masterclass in just like bad traffic at the sports complex. And eventually the crowd did fill in for the Flyers game, which did speak to the awful situation outside. But this should be an arena that is like 80% packed, 75 at the worst. Hasn't been like that this season. Now, if I'm supposed to believe that it is a fairly priced product, according to people with the team, well then, they're not doing a good job of reaching out to the fans who can afford it. Like, that's the only other conclusion you could come to, right? Either you're trying to draw in casual fans who then see the ticket price and say, no. Or you're trying to bring in the passionate but maybe disaffected Flyers fan who's watched this team not be very good the last few years and not really be entirely relevant since 2010's Cup run. And they might be looking at it and saying, like, well, you got to show me something. Flyers have had a really strong start to the year. You should be able to get those people to say, yeah, you know what? I'll part with 40 or 50 bucks a ticket, whatever it is for the upper level. I'll part with that and I'll go see a game. But like at this point, I'm not even like dunking on the team for making the tickets too expensive. I think they are, but that's not really the main point. The main point is the players at this point deserve to be playing in front of a much more packed house. They're busting their asses and they're getting points. They are getting results. I'm hoping truly that like as the season goes on, we're going to see more and more people filling that building for both the Sixers and the Flyers. And that home court and home ice advantage are going to be what we've always expected them to be in Philadelphia. So that's not like even a call to action on fans. Like, I gotta go separate yourself from the money in your wallet. No. But I'm just telling you right now, the Sixers give you a lot to look forward to. The Flyers at this point give you a team that you should actually kind of be proud of the way that they play for the most part. I'd like to see more people down at the arena, but that's just me. It's just me. It's just me. All right. With that, I am out. I know that there were a ton of people who kept commenting, and I'm sorry. I have to call the show to an end. It is getting late. The children will be coming home, and I have to figure out what the heck we're doing here for trick-or-treating tonight, where we will not be giving out full-size candy bars. And I hope the children in the neighborhood who come here expecting full-size candy bars aren't disappointed. I'm pretty sure that on Monday's show, I'm going to come on here and tell you that the small candy bars were an unmitigated disaster. Kids took too many candy bars or took too many of the little candies at a time, and that we ran out instead of being left with a full-size box of candy bars that I got to dig into for the next 3 to 6 weeks. But we will find out. If you're going out tonight for Halloween and you're going to go trick-or-treating with I would assume, with a child, keep them safe. Watch out for the razor blades. Remember when you were a kid, you'd always like hear, oh, you can't have whatever kind of candy because what if somebody puts a razor blade in it? I remember that. I remember being traumatized thinking that like if a piece of candy had like their wrapper falling off, that there was going to be a razor blade inside. I distinctly remember that. But anyway, have fun out there. If you are going to be handing out candy tonight, hopefully the kids that come to your house are nice and don't like dump the entire bowl. And if you see a child take the candy bowl and dump it into their bag and run, it is your responsibility to chase that kid down. Remember the appropriate way to tackle and then say to yourself, I shouldn't be chasing after a child who just took a bunch of candy, and I certainly should not tackle them. I will get arrested for that. There's your advice of the day. Don't tackle children who are trick-or-treating tonight. And on that, it's time to end. Happy Halloween, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to each and every one of you, Saturday and Sunday on the Press Row Show over on the Snow the Goalie feed, and then, of course, on Monday here on the Russ Joy Show. Until then, this has been the Russ Joy Show, and I've been Russ Joy, but you knew that already because you're smart, and it's also the name of the show. Happy Halloween, everybody. Talk to you very soon. Bye now.